Welcome back to the Meeple Marathon. Today I am going to go through my storage solution for all of Massive Darkness 2. So before we get started showing everything off, I want to get a few caveats out of the way. One is that I have stored away basically everything. So if you didn't get an all-in pledge for Massive Darkness 2, this isn't necessarily the route you would want to go, but you could probably piecemeal some of the components in my storage solution to cover what you have. The only thing I didn't purchase in the campaign were the Gamegenic storage solutions. So that's another caveat, is that my cards and stuff are not sleeved. If you have sleeved up your cards, you're probably going to need additional card storage. So that's something to consider too. So I basically have everything in here, including 3D scenery, including all the expansions. Obviously, it's not all in this box. If you saw the the thumbnail, that's what we're going to be going through today. But I basically have gotten rid of the 6 smaller boxes. So that's going to be 3 of the kind of hero class plus a roaming monster boxes, and 3 of the small mob expansions: Gates of Hell, War of Souls, and Fey Folk. Those ones have, I think, roughly 2 mobs in them each, plus a roaming monster. So those are the boxes I got rid of, and I got rid of the 3D scenery boxes. So if you count those, we're talking about 9 boxes that I have been able to cut out of having to store away. The other caveat is that there are 3 miniatures you're not going to see in this setup. One of which I am currently painting, and I'm taking my time, and I'm probably going to be doing some stuff with the base that I will not want to store it away in the box. It's going to be a display figure, and that is Huggy Bear, I think his name is, from the Rainbow Crossing expansion, the big pink bear. The other 2 are the 2 main bosses from this main box. They are A, massive, and B, they, I believe, are going to be other display miniatures for my, just to go with my shelf of miniatures that I've spent a lot of time painting up well. So those aren't going to be in this storage solution. Those are massive miniatures, so finding a spot for them is difficult. But at the end of the video, I'll talk about things you might be able to do to get those stored away if you don't want to put them up on a shelf. So with those caveats out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. This is the core box. But again, I basically pulled everything out and started from scratch. I will put links in the description below for all of the components that I have used. And if you are familiar with the channel and have seen some of my storage solutions before, you will probably recognize a lot of this stuff. All right, so we got the rulebook. Pretty straightforward. We've got our little bags. These are empty. You could, I guess, store the tokens in the bags, but for right now they're empty. I'm trying to find some better bags than these. All right, then we've got kind of the class dashboards, the hero dashboards, whatever you want to call them. These are the hero dashboards, but these are the class specific dashboards. Not every class needs them. Some are bigger than others. Obviously, this wizard one is incredibly, it doesn't go anywhere. So what I've done is taken the smaller ones and just thrown them into a baggie. You can see that baggie doesn't even close. If I can get my hands on a longer baggie, maybe I'll do that. I really only did this to kind of keep them from just sliding around a lot. And then these 3 other bigger ones here. This necromancer board is just really wide. The circle is just obnoxious. And this board is just huge. Anyways, those are just kind of strewn on top, as well as my dice. 2 different bags of dice here. The standard dice and then the marbled swirl dice, again, are just thrown off to the side. I've separated them out that way because if I'm playing solo, I'm really only going to get the marble dice out. If I'm playing with a group, I'll throw both sets out and people can grab whatever they want. But these are going to get dumped onto the table anyway, so them being in a baggie isn't a big deal, and there's very few baggies in my storage solution. All right, so the hero dashboards here are just stacked all together and laid on their sides, standing straight up. You can see that they are almost the perfect height for this core box, where they don't create any lid lift or anything like that, and they tuck in here nicely just to the right of my large storage containers here. So also along the side here, I have 2 deck boxes. All right, let's pull these out. And I also, down here off to the side, have these two tokens, now technically I have the 3D scenery for the bridges, but the 3D bridges, in my opinion, are the least useful pieces of 3D scenery because you really can't stand miniatures on them. There's a very small footprint, and like the big roaming monsters can't even stand on them. So I've actually been using these. So I have just them tucked down on the side there, as well as the Tinker card here. This is the size of a roaming monster card, so I may end up just tossing it in with the roaming monsters. But for right now, I just kind of stuck it in there. All right. Here are two deck boxes. These are standard size Ultra Pro deck boxes. These can easily be found on Amazon. I'll put a link to the pack that I purchased. It was like a 5-pack with these kind of pastel-y colors, but I did want the pink because inside the pink is all of my rainbow fluffy aura cards. So these are going to be specific if you're playing through the Rainbow Crossing expansion, as well as tucked down here I do have the 4 Horsemen cards that are specific to the 4 Horsemen expansion. All right, we're going to see these boxes here in a little bit, but those cards I just wanted to kind of keep separate. You're only going to need them if you're playing one of those 2 expansions. Then over here I have quite a full box, and this is, for the most part, most of the hero cards. So I've got my door cards, and then I've got all my heroes here, as well as all of the, I've organized all of the special armor suits of armor or whatever that you're going to need if you gain the right items, and then the monk cards are in the back here. So pretty much all of the standard size cards except for the mob cards are going to be in this box. And you can see that all of them fit nicely in there. There's a little bit of wiggle room, but not much. But again, these aren't sleeved. So if you are going to sleeve your cards, you know, I don't know whether you'd get them all in 2 boxes or not. Okay, then the rest of this is essentially several different iterations of this, you know, the Plano boxes and Simply Tidy organizers that I get from either Walmart or Michael's. You can also find these on Amazon, but I tend to find the best prices at those 2 stores. So let's look at this small stack first here. In this smaller one here, this is a Plano. I left all the stickers on here so you guys could get a good look at everything. This is a Plano 3400 series. I like the ones that 6 to 12 adjustable compartments because you can see I did divide some of these in half. You can find a 3400 that's just the long, tall ones. So this is basically my setup bin of tokens here. Everything in here is going to be pulled out if I'm playing with a specific class. So all like the rogue tokens are here, or all the monk tokens. These are all like class specific tokens here. You know, your pegs are under the rings here. So when you're picking player colors, objective tokens, Lifebringer tokens, the mob spawns, and the treasure spawns. So this is all set up. You could essentially pull this out, get out what you need, and then push it off to the side. And you don't really need it out during gameplay. All right. Then we have one of these. This sticker was on the plastic on the outside, but it's made by the same people here, Simply Tidy. I'll put a link in the description below, but I love this size box. I use this, essentially if Michael's has this on their shelf, I'm going to buy 1 or 2, and I always have some handy. So this is the token box you're going to want to have setting out during the game, because these tokens you're going to be pulling from and putting back in a lot. So your health token, your mana tokens, status effect tokens, and your 3 different levels of treasure token. I also have these here, which are technically I would consider a setup piece, but I needed the ability to, they didn't fit in the other one, basically, but they fit here with just pulling out this one little divider. It's another nice thing about this size is that these dividers can be pulled out. All right, so that's off to the side. Then really what we have is a whole bunch of our roaming monsters taken out of the clear plastic that Simon packed them in and put them in various sizes like this. So here you can see our fire elementals, our nymphs. I did have to put normally I keep everybody together, like this is all of the, this is the Naga people. I can't remember all their names, but everybody's in here, including the leader. Everybody's in here, including the leader. I did have to throw the fire elemental leader in with the nymphs because they just all didn't fit the way I divided them up, but they all fit in there. Then you have this size one. This is a much taller size that some of the miniatures are just bigger, more spread out than the others, and so you're going to need a couple of these larger Simply Tidy organizers here. So for example, the fallen angels we have up here, you can see just their wings. They need to be able to stand up, or the demons, the undead here. I think this is like a fallen angel, and then the War of Souls Whisperer guy. Again, I can't remember all. The harpies are here, undead, these guys, the banshees. So all of the kind of taller ones that needed more space, that wouldn't fit in these shorter ones, go in one of these larger ones. And then I have a second larger one. Closed. I have a second larger one for all of the hero miniatures. So I'm just going to pop this open here just to kind of show it off. It's very straightforward, but this essentially is all of my heroes. I've got them divided up into sections where they're mostly together. You know, so like all of my druids and their druid forms are here. My 2 tinkerers along with all of their constructs are right here. My 2 shamans along with the 2 elementals are right here. So everything's kind of put together. The reason, again, this one had to go into a larger box is because just a handful of miniatures. The big eagle miniature, the large exo armor miniature, the ranger here that's half horse minotaur guy. Some of these guys were just a little too big to fit, or this shaman here with the wings. They were a little too big to fit into the smaller size. So that's why I have 2 of these kind of larger Simply Tidy organizers. These again can be found at various places across the internet and such, but this one isn't like snapping closed for some reason. There we go. But I find the best place to purchase them is Michael's, because you can almost always find a coupon to use. They're often on sale. I went by there yesterday and all of their organizers like this were 40% off, so you just can't beat deals like that. So it's really straightforward too how you get everything back into the box, but just in case you needed to see it again, it's going to go like that. These just tuck along the side there. 2 bags of dice, whole bunch of big layered dashboards laid flat there, my baggie of components, my bags, and my rule book. And you can see I'm not even pushing like the edges of, I can still get like, you know, it's like a half an inch there. So I'm not even coming close to pushing lid lift yet. So that is everything in the core box. What's tricky about Massive Darkness 2 is the fact that you have all these mob sets and you want to be able to have the variety in the game to have any mob come up at any time. So that's why I try to condense these down to as few boxes. Otherwise, you'd have to like going through the mob deck every time and adding and removing cards, whether you got that box out. Anyways, all right, so this is the Darkbringer expansion box. This is the stretch goals box. It's not quite as tall as the core box, which is unfortunate because I could have made a really good use out of that. But here you can see I have left intact a few of the large pieces of plastic, mainly because similar to those 2 miniatures I pulled out, the Archangel and I forget what the other one's name is, these are some massive, kind of oddly shaped, fragile miniatures. And so I wanted to protect them. So this is a lot of my kind of roaming monsters box. I'm going to set this, I'm going to open this up, I'm going to pull this out, but I'm just going to have this setting off to the side, and I'm only going to dive into it if I pull a roaming monster that's featured in here. So here you can see 2 of the roaming monsters from the core box are in this. This is one of my really useful or super stacker boxes, but it's what is it called, index card size. It's meant to hold index cards or recipe cards, but I thought it just fit in there perfectly so that these aren't sliding around, or this isn't going to slide over and bang into it. It helps just keep it protected. I took the lid off just because I would never need it. Really, that felt overkill. The card decks you see here are actually from the Zombicide crossover pack. So these are the heroes from Zombicide characters, which I do own a good number of those. These are the roaming monsters. I haven't even opened up that pack of cards, and these are the mobs. So unless I feel like digging out my Zombicide stuff and combining it, I'm not going to bother. This just is living here, but I did want to get it out of that other box so I don't lose track of it. The only other thing in this box that is important, and one of the few things I somewhat splurged on, if you can call it that, is one of these broken token organizers for mini Euro cards. For some reason, they don't make a lot of mini American, mini Euro sized storage solutions for cards, especially to keep them organized. So basically a good chunk of my mini American size cards are in this organizer. I have my common, rare, epic treasures. I have my Draconis. I may put these into that other box with the 4 Horsemen cards, but for right now they're tucked in there. My starting cards here, and then my mob item cards, levels 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then all my big giant chunk of skill cards for the heroes. Now you will notice that there are some cards missing. We'll get to those here in a minute, but this is really handy. These things are really nice from Broken Token. They're like the only people I know that make them, other than some like Etsy people in Europe. So if you happen to be in Europe, Google or search on Etsy for something like a mini American size card holder. People make these in Etsy, but the shipping to the United States is ridiculous. So I just go with Broken Token. You got to put it together with a little wood glue, but once it's built, really nice box, and you can see it fits in here perfectly with the other stuff. So that's pretty much it for the Darkbringer box. All right. Now, the rest of my storage solution is all in the expansions that are this size. I did want to point out that there is a difference between this and, say, the Gates of Hell box. You can see I'm lining up the corners up here, and this is how much bigger these boxes are. These are also the ones that are not really true boxes. They're kind of, coming apart at the corners. They're like a gift box that you would put clothing in. So all the boxes this size or smaller are the ones I got rid of. I haven't gotten rid of them, actually. I just threw them in the attic. Okay, so this is the Heavenfall expansion, and for the most part, this one was also left untouched because I wanted to be able to say, all right, I'm either going to be doing one-shot stuff, and so I only want like levels 1 through 5. I don't need all that quest material. I don't need, all the legendary treasure, things like that. So really, for the most part, this box has been left intact. Now I did punch out some of the tokens that were included, and those were in that token box you already saw. I'm leaving the roaming monsters in here for right now, again, because I'm keeping this box intact. I just may only see these roaming monsters during a campaign. But like the mob level cards here, you can see I have 6 and 7 down there, 10 and 8 and 9 right there. So these also are helping keeping those cards in there. Also, these are all the skill cards for my heroes, but only levels 6 through 10, as well as then there's some campaign specific mini cards here. Yep, campaign cards, and then the legendary treasure cards. Again, all of these cards in this box you're only ever going to use if you're playing a campaign. So if I'm not playing a campaign, I'm just going to leave the Heavenfall box off to the side here. So all the miniatures are in here, but I did see, I hate these plastic things because it's really, they're not easy to work with. You can't get them back into the box. I did take out the Angel miniatures because I am going to say, okay, well, they may come up as a mob. So I have included them with the rest of my mobs, just throwing those green and red dice there. But these 3 big boss characters, again, and these 2 little tokens here. I haven't started a campaign yet, so I don't know what they're used for. But they're only ever going to come out if I'm playing a campaign. And so I was fine with kind of leaving this box as is and not really messing with it much. See, you just can't. Ugh. I really don't like the plastic, but it is good protection for those miniatures. So we're just going to set that off to the side and I'll deal with it later. All right, up next is, in no particular order, our Rainbow Crossing box. This is the one box that I don't understand. This one is like a gift box, but it's the same size as the other ones. So you can see it's more like just folded cardboard here. It's not a reinforced box, but I needed it. So, but really what's in here is nothing but mob monsters and tokens that go along with those mob monsters. So I have 2 of the Plano 3500 series, and then 2 more of these Simply Tidy size. So you can see here, here's like the Fey Folk and War of Souls guys here. There's more miniatures in here. See here, these are the angels from the Heavenfall expansion. Here's the skeletons. So really most of them fit in this size. If they don't, then you need to find a spot for them that larger size. But then here there are a few that are teeny tiny, and they fit well in these Plano 3500 series, which are not as tall, like the unicorns or the little cupids, or these gargoyles. And I put the tokens for the Rainbow Crossing expansion that you might need in here, because more than likely you're going to be playing with these unicorns and the cupids, so I'll have those handy nearby. And this plus this, you can see, fits nicely into the box, no lid lift. And then in this one I have the cultists, as well as, I think these guys are also from the War of Souls pack, or maybe these are guys from the Darkbringer pack, I don't know. But these are the tokens for the Draconis tokens and things like that if you're playing with the Necromantic Dragon, which I just realized is a technically 4th miniature I don't have boxed up, but that thing is huge. And if you saw my unboxing video, you'll notice that getting it in and out of the plastic it came in is insane. It's not something anybody will ever want to do. So I don't know anybody who's continuing to store it back in the Dragon box. That just needs to be displayed somewhere because it's a massively huge, awesome miniature. But there we go, very simple. That's basically just a box of mobs. All right, up next we have our 4 Horsemen box. You can see this is an actual box. This is not, this is thicker cardboard versus card stock. So I specifically used this one for my map tiles. I've got my instruction manuals for the smaller expansions on top and the smaller boxes, but then the rest of this is just map tiles. But it means I have all my map tiles in one place. I don't have to like open up several boxes. This is one of the first things you want to set up. So I just boom, take this, I just tip it over. They all come out. I go through, I pull out the ones I need, and then I can put the rest back in here. So I specifically used the 4 Horsemen box for this because it was more reinforced than the Rainbow Crossing box, even though they are roughly the same size. So there's that, and you can see that there's even a little bit more room for a few more tiles. But again, very straightforward, but I've consolidated all my tiles into one spot. Then last but not least, like I said, I'm not putting the dragon back in the dragon box because I'm using the dragon box for quite a bit of storage. It's a good size, but it's nice and tall. It's like twice as tall as the other ones. So we got a lot of stuff in here. All right, first off, we have another one of these Plano 3400 series. Remember, we had our setup tokens and the other one in the core box. This is all of the kind of roaming monster specific tokens. So you've got, I think this is the guy on the boat, or Hades, or the Scorpion. These are the 4 Horsemen tokens, Cerberus, Fey Folk, the Banshee, Beelzebub, I think. So these are all tokens that came with specific roaming monsters, and they're in a box with a lot of the roaming monsters. Here is some of my 3D scenery. These are 4x6 photo holders, and I find very handy. I buy them in like large packs of, I think, 24 or 36 or something like that when they go on sale at Michael's, and then I just have them. You can get them in clear or colored. I just happen to have some colored ones I need to get through, but here are all my traps and anvils, and this one. And in this one, I have all my pillars and treasure chests. I'm not going to bother opening those. And then here in this middle one, because these were a little too tall to fit in the photo boxes, I have my portals and my fountains that I need to finish painting. Whoops. All right. Then we have 2 pencil boxes. What's nice about the pencil boxes is that they're big and wide open. I actually had 2 on hand already. I may try, and I think this one is from Walmart. I like this one because it's clear enough that I can see into it and see what's there. This one, obviously, I'm going to have to pop open. But you can see that both of these have a nice thickness to them. They're nice and thick. So there's lots of different size pencil boxes out there, but you'll kind of know one when you see it, that it's going to be thick enough to handle storing your miniatures laid on their sides. So I realized that these don't have each their individual compartments, but there's only so many in there, and they're packed in there enough that they're not squishing each other, but they're also not going to move around a lot. So basically, I just will have these off to the side, and if I pull a roaming monster, I'll find the ones I need and pull them out. So there you go, there's the remaining. And you can see how they got a lot smaller with the roaming monsters in the expansions. But the base box and the stretch goal box, the roaming monsters and bosses are just huge. Ridiculous size miniatures. So those are there, just stacked on top. You can see in the very bottom here, I saved the plastic for the doors and bridges. So I've slid that all the way down to the bottom of this box, and I will continue to store them there. And just, I'm going to be pulling everything out anyways, so I'll just reach in, pull out the doors I need. If I want to use the bridges, I will do that. And then this is one of the last things I'm going to show off. This is a really cool box that I picked this one up off of Miniature Market, so I'll put a link in that description below, but I'm pretty sure I've seen it on Amazon. This is technically like a it came with 3 internal kind of sleeves to hold standard cards. But I took 2 of them out, and what you see here is all of my roaming monsters, including, I did go all the way up to level 10 here, and all my mobs and all of my roaming monster cards tipped over. And then in the very front, I have my little trackers for the rounds. I did have the boss cards tucked in the back. I did end up just sliding them off to the side. I'm not 100% sure which way I like better. This felt a little full with them in there, but I really like this setup because I can, I'm going to have to pull them out and shuffle them most likely, but the way these kind of store together, I think is really, really nice. So this is by Gamegenic. It's like a 3 deck box. And so yeah, you can watch me put all this kind of back in here, but it's pretty straightforward. You don't need to be too good at Tetris to get this working. And so there you go, ladies and gentlemen, that is everything, minus a few really big miniatures that I am planning on probably just putting on a shelf once they're painted as display miniatures. Now, I did say at the end of the video here, we might show off, and so what we're going to do here is just take one of these boxes. I'm going to take out the plastic on the inside and show you what could be done with a box like this. This is one of the miniatures I was referring to that is just huge. Very fragile looking. I haven't really tested that. But at some point I'm going to paint this thing up, and it would make, if I do a good job on it, it's going to make a really nice display miniature. But yeah, it just would be a pain to squeeze it into one of those other boxes. I'd just be worried it would break. So taking a box like this and sticking them in there, and let's see if we can get the other one. Now this would be if you would want to tuck them away, but even now you can see that these don't really lay very flat, and there's still some lid left. So if you put the box lid on top of it, you would want to be careful to maybe put like something there that's going to stop the box lid, and then make sure that nothing gets put on top of this. But that would be my solution if you don't want to put these on a shelf somewhere. But I mean, just look at that. How do you store that away without keeping that nasty clear plastic that Simon sent everything in? So if you have a better solution for these guys, or that large dragon, the demon dragon, please let me know in the comment section below, because I'd be very curious. But I do have some shelves that I've displayed some of my nicer, larger miniatures on, and so that's where these are going to go. Now, again, my setup here for storage was due to the fact that I'm going to be painting up these miniatures, so I don't want them just dumped into baggies or dumped into a box. I also want to be able to pull stuff out strategically and have it either setting off to the side or opened up, ready to go. I feel like this is the best storage solution I could come up with that was, you know, still DIY, without, I'm sure at some point, Broken Token or Folded Space or eRaptor, those guys are all going to be coming out with, you know, their own inserts. But those generally tend to be just as expensive as the game is. I can't imagine what an all-in like eRaptor insert will be for Massive Darkness 2, but I guarantee you it will be over $200. And I already spent enough on this game as it is. So again, you did have to spend some money on these plastic containers, but they're a lot cheaper than, say, Felder foam or Broken Token, things like that. So anyways, if you have any comments, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. And if you have any questions, again, let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, please consider subscribing to the channel. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.